What's up, adventurers? My name is Platinum Phoenix, and welcome back to Kirby Mass Attack. Last time, we got swept up in a sandstorm, and this time, we are going to be taking on the boss of the Sandy Canyon. But before we do that, we have stages 10 and 11 to get through, so let's go ahead and get into it. Luckily, both of these stages only have 3 medals each, so they are fairly short stages, actually. But at the very start of this stage, we are actually introduced to not a new enemy, but a new obstacle. Say hello to the Mega Grinder. This is literally just a plug, is what it is. And that will make more sense right here once this starts. We literally are just pulling him out of the sand. I hate that face. But once we pull the Mega Grinder out of the sand, the quicksands start to rise. And that is the whole point of this stage, actually, is to continue moving and not get stuck in the quicksand. So we are just going to be heading on upwards. There's actually not a whole ton to do at this beginning part. We can hit that bomb to make sure that the enemies aren't in our way for at least a little bit. And I would actually recommend not even stopping for some of these enemies. I would stop for this snooze route in order to make sure it doesn't do what it just did. But even then, we could just stop it. And we make an opening so we can just run through here. And you can see that the quicksand is not like super fast. And actually, I'm going to let it catch up to me so I can show something. Because if we ride the quicksand and then throw a Kirby up here, that is where the skip door is. And then we can actually just ride the quicksand all the way up if we wanted, but I think I'm just going to fly. Come on, Kirby's. Onwards and upwards. And once we go through the door, the quicksand is not a problem in that section anymore. But it is directly under us once again, so we have to continue running. Kirby's, can you please, like, work better? All we are doing right now is basically hitting these stars to open the blocks up, and then running from the quicksand once more. Also, all of those Kirby's just flew away. Nope. Kirby's, please. Don't die. And actually, I believe we get stuck in here, but if we fly up here, there's a bomb. And if we could throw a Kirby at it... Ah! I hit the wrong one! If you hit it when it skulls, it turns into bombs. And nobody likes that. So we are just going to fly our way up now. Okay. Obviously, the Kirby's do not want to play nice today. Can we just take out this big Mambon to make our lives at least a little bit easier? Jesus Christ, so much is happening. Take out the Bonbons. Nobody wants to deal with Bonbons. If we could just take them out, our lives will be easier. And we're going to fly over the Stactus because I don't want to deal with it either. And actually, I believe... this is the location of our first medal. If we have 10 Kirby's, we can go down this platform, I guess is what it's called. And we can just climb up this direction, which is actually easier than the other direction because there's not enemies over here. But we could just climb up here and get our first medal of the stage. And then continue our way upwards. And then I also believe that right here is where the second medal is. If we break that block and then just fly up. Can we take out the Stactus so they're not in our way? I'm actually going to wait for the quicksand because it does make this slightly easier. Or not, I might accidentally just hit the bomb, and that's where our rainbow medal is. You know what? I'll take it. That was not what I was planning to do, but sure. And once we get out here, we actually, this is one of the better hidden secret, but if you ride the quicksand or fly, you can actually go above where the door is that you just came out of, and there's a golden door here. And luckily, in this location, the quicksand stops. We have reached the top, and the quicksand can go no farther. But all we need to do is hit this green apple switch, and we get an M, E, D, A, L. Metal! And our only task is basically to collect all of the green apples. So that's the M. This is actually fairly easy if you are at least halfway good at throwing Kirby's, which I'm not, so this might be difficult, but Kirby's, please collect yourselves so we can continue onwards. Just throw you up there to try to get as many of those as possible. And take out these stactuses so we don't have to deal with them. Luckily, I don't think this is timed, so you can take as much time as you want to actually collect all of the green apples. I've never actually tested if it's timed, but I've never had a problem with it, so I'm going to go with it's not timed. And this is the last of the green apples. And once you collect all the green apples, with their powers combined, they make a medal! And that's our final medal of the stage. And I've missed it twice. Great. And this door should lead us directly back outside. Literally throws us off a building, but sure. And that is the end of the stage. And no damage. And next up is stage 11. That requires 6 Kirby's. Also, I didn't mention it last time, but the last stage required 8 Kirby's to get into. So if you're like me and lose all of your Kirby's on stage 9, you have to go get more. Also, we have a bunch of baby birdies, which is, yes, the actual name of these things, which I find very funny. But we must release the baby birdies from their cage. So we just play tug of war with the cage and fling it into who knows where. And welcome to the first and maybe only escort mission in the game. Reuniting the birds. Carry all the birds safely to their mother. And as you saw there, the birdies, the baby birdies, were captured by a bunch of gigs. So this chapter is actually a fight between birdies and gigs, which is a weird concept. It's probably the weirdest concept in the game, is birdies versus gigs. And on this section, I recommend just throwing upwards as much as you can. Make sure you avoid the mecha gig. No. If a birdie is hit, you do have to grab it again, or it's just lost. Take out the P.E.K.K.A. gigs. And that should leave us with just the Mega gig. Or Mech gig. Which is good, because it's the hardest one to deal with. Alright, everyone this way. Everyone out of the way. Nobody dies on my watch to a gig. I'm awful at throwing Kirby's. Just the worst. And once we take out the last gig, the door will open and we can be on our way into the actual part of the stage. And there's actually not a whole ton here. You have the precursor to what is next stage in these seesaws, which are, again, one of the worst things. It's the worst thing about the boss fight, if I'm being honest, in the next stage. And I'll go over it more once we get there, but it's just the worst. And of course, I take out the P.E.K.K.A gig as soon as it explodes. Oh, it's a bomb. I'm like, that's just a sheer wall. I don't know what to do here. We don't worry about bananas, and also the levers do crush things if they are standing under the seesaws. So it's an important thing to keep in mind. But now we just need to defeat this Stactus. Well, we actually did it without any Kirbys being injured, which is nice. And everyone on the Jerk Vine to see another new enemy. This is another gig. This is a spiky gig. And is probably the most deadly of the gigs because if it hits you, you automatically die. But that is also the warp gate, and we just want to follow the spiky gig because it will break all the metal blocks and give us access to a key. And you already saw that it actually opened up where the treasure chest is too, so we just run over here. And this is how we get our first medal of the stage, as well as the rainbow medal of the stage. Fly up here to make things easier, and then we'll just fly across. I do not recommend going into the spikes. They kill you. If yeah, it's just straight up, you hit spikes, you die. And we don't want the birdies to die. Actually, if we run over here, we need to fly up here again. And I don't actually want to hit the platform. I want to just grab onto this jerk vine. Because when we pull down this jerk vine, it launches the rock. And with 10 Kirbys, you actually launch it far enough to hit where the golden door is, which is where we need to go next. Into the golden door we go. And if you thought just flying up was too easy for the spiky gig, now we actually have to run from it. And on the way, we actually have to fly up here and grab our second medal. Thankfully, this is not a long run, and the spiky gig is pretty slow, so it's not really much of a danger. But that is how you get your second medal. And next up is cannons. And we just get to blow up a bunch of gigs, which is the fun part of this level. I missed a gig. And next, we need to hit this mech gig in order to get our last medal of the stage. And also, if you're down on Kirby's, this is a really good way of getting more, because all of those gigs, besides the one that's holding a medal, is actually holding some type of fruit. But also, this was a mini boss at like chapter 3 or stage 3 or 4. This is called a big birdie. I never named it. I never told you its name. So it's a really good time to just say, the big birdie now has baby birdies. And it's really nice. But that's the end of the stage. And again, no damage. Actually, pretty good runs on those two stages. And of course, since this is the last regular stage here, we have our last rainbow bridge to get to the boss. And I know I've harped on the fact that this is my least favorite world in this game. But I'll be honest, this boss fight does not make it better. This, on top of my least favorite world, is my least favorite boss fight. Say hello to Lady Ivy and the seesaw mechanics. Basically, as they just showed, you have to make Lady Ivy hit herself in the head, knock herself out, and then you have to have the Kirbys run to the side and basically crush her head down. And that is how you damage Lady Ivy. And we want to make sure... And sometimes she just doesn't, like, launch herself upwards. Sometimes she just shoots. Oh, God. It's actually really hard to make sure that the seesaw is on the right side. Also, she sometimes brings out these rose buds, which all the rosebud does is it holds the seesaw down on one side and makes it impossible for the seesaw to go down the other way. And I believe we're on stage 2 of this boss fight, luckily. She's shooting more spikes, and all you have to do is watch the top screen and avoid where she is shooting. She also shoots cactuses, which can be annoying. Luckily, with 10 Kirbys, she's not too hard to handle. And please hit your head. Please hit your head. Please hit your head. Thank you. That's this whole level, is me just going, please hit your head. Please make my life easier. Have more spikes coming down. Trying to avoid those. And of course, she's just shooting more. You can see why this stage is annoying. Deal with the stactuses, please. And also, I didn't mention it, but if the Kirbys are on the side when she hits her head, they will just be launched, and it'll do damage, or it won't do damage to the Kirbys, but it will stop them from being able to react and smash down on Lady Ivy. Okay, first one's middle, second one is right, last one is left. And this is the last part, you basically just have to be lucky, because if you're not lucky, Lady Ivy pops up on the wrong side. That hurt. Please be that side. Please be enough Kirbys to smash down on her. Is that the end? Thank God. We did it! We beat Lady Ivy! And we once again get the ability to warp to a new world, as well as getting rid of the Scullies of this world. But that is by far what I consider maybe not the hardest fight, but the most irritating fight. And unfortunately, it just caps off a world that I just don't like. But luckily enough, we get to leave this world and head to a much better one. Stage cleared, no Kirbys, KO'd. And we get to leave the desert and head to DD Resort. Going from my least favorite world to by far my favorite world. And unfortunately, this is where we are ending the episode, but I am very much looking forward to playing this world. But I hope that everyone enjoyed watching. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Next time, we get to play some games. But until then, happy adventuring.